Ladies and gentlemen, Hollius came in quite clutch today because we got some new official gameplay footage for the consoles that came out of literally nowhere, as Night City Wire is actually in 2 days from now after all, but we had a special episode of Night City Wire, so let's cut this up, dissect it, and make it into a pie. But first, we can't stop crying about one little thing that 9 out of the 10 people watching right now, yeah, you right now, aren't subscribed. The amount of treason might make some people's hearts implode, but I'm a caring person, so subscribe and we can hit 20k and join the Flick Army, of course. Alright, so I was taking notes while watching this gameplay, just piece together what we're actually seeing. And things that were easy to miss without, paying attention. Because here's a hint, they're showing the same quest, but with different routes to take. The more tech-focused, downgrade, upgrade, what the footage look like talk is stuff we'll get back to later in the vid. Now, from what I can tell, this is some completely new footage that has never... Okay, never is kind of a tough word, because this was shown in, I believe, like, an Italian Night City Wire or something, at least one small snippet of it. So, but for us, it's generally never been seen before, never been covered on the channel, like, at all. But we also have this massive issue where we don't actually know when this takes place in the timeline of the story. Originally, when we first open up, it almost seems like it's the heist setup quest where you're going to meet Evelyn, Judy, Braindance, etc., etc. But one, that's called the quest is called something completely different, not automatic love. And two, this takes place somewhere in the early mid game or early game, pretty much after the prologue, after the heist, because you might have missed that, but V is level 8 during these missions, with the cap, or at least the highest level we've seen, being level 50. Alongside that, Johnny Silverhand is with you at this point, which means the biochip called the Relic, for those that don't know, is inside your head. You've gotten the whole, oh my god, I have a guy in my head, out of your system, and you're just talking to him normally, pretty much. At the same time, at this point in the game, you have met both the Moxes and the Tiger Claws and have done at least one quest for them, or more. The automatic love quest appears to center around tracking down Evelyn, because you try to find her at Lizzie's bar, then she's not there. Quick note, I did Google the little dialogue that they had between you and one of the Moxes. I Googled what Virtus, or they pronounced it like virtues, but it was Virtus, like the text for what it was. So I Googled what Virtus was. It's apparently an ancient Rome virtue for pretty much being courageous, having a strong character and courage. But I'm pretty sure that's not what they're trying to imply there, because that doesn't really fit. Seems more like it's an inside joke between them about V trying to hook up with Judy. Also, if you look at the top right, safe areas are going to be areas where they won't let you pull out a weapon, I believe, because the way I see it, pulling out a weapon in that scene would completely break that quest. And at the same time, that was kind of what was going through people's heads when we first saw safe, hostile, and just normal zones, which were safe, you can't pull out a weapon. Hostile was just, oh, don't get caught. Now, when the Tiger Claw Fixer calls you, she mentions Sandra Dorset, the quest that you did for her that related to Sandra Dorset. Now, who is Sandra Dorset? I just said her name like 5 times. Sandra Dorset is actually the lady you saved from the Scavengers, which is the first opening quest we saw in the 40-minute demo, which is why she mentions what you and Jackie did, because Jackie is with you on that quest, obviously. The first call kicks off when you first enter her district, one of the Tiger Claw districts, because they technically do operate in 2 districts. So the fixers will pretty much call you up when you're in their district, like, yo, V, what are you doing here? And maybe I can use you for something if you got time. She also mentioned settling up, which I'd assume she'd be paying you or talking about further quests. Next, when you get near the whole automatic love quest building, you get a text message from the Tiger Claw Fixer when you're near the building, and it pretty much says, hey, it's unwise to engage now. Remember, you're deep in Tiger Claw territory at this point. It might not look the part because the Tiger Claws are more sophisticated, you can say, and more better at hiding their dealings. They're pretty much almost corpos in that regard. But this is interesting because you're actually getting a warning that, hey, doing this might damage your reputation with them. Because remember, there are no reputation bars. Also, Silverhand states the obvious by saying, hey, I saw 2 tiger claws, so I think the tiger claws controlled the building.
See, the only thing waiting for you here is getting off or getting offed. Place your bets.
What have I missed this time? Enlighten me.
Braindance chick is hiding something. No coincidence we already saw 2 tiger claws. They must control the building.
You think Judy's lying? Why?
Little something called intuition, V. Ever heard of it?
Oh, so what you meant to say was you're full of shit. Got it.
Hey, just a quick question to Silverhead. Like, what got you to that? Did you maybe just scooch over and read V's phone where literally the Tiger Claw fixer said, hey, maybe you shouldn't be doing that? Like, come on, Silverhand, you're a little bit slow here. Figured that out like 10 minutes ago. And yes, the Tiger Claws do have ties to Arasaka. We already knew that by when we saw that insane thermal mantis blade Tiger Claw with the Arasaka helmet just charging at you. And based on how much black market arms they sell, someone's got to be supplying them. But it's nice to finally have it confirmed. Also, that whole quest might be you saving Evelyn. I haven't really tied those two together. I mean, you could be, but at the same time, we didn't get a good look at the person you're trying to save, so it completely might not be. But I could see how it could be Arasaka Tiger Claws, because if the Tiger Claws have ties to Arasaka, and Arasaka's gonna go pretty much cleaning a house on everyone related to the whole heist, then that would make sense why they take Evelyn. Then you get to a point where it says you try to find Evelyn with Tom, and we can guess about just like what happened based on how they cut away. How? Simple. You had to go up and talk to him, so you interrogated him to get more info. More proof of this is that after you leave the zone gets marked as hostile. Now, at the original, there was no marking, not safe, not anything. So you could have went guns blazing if you wanted to at the start, but the second you interrogated him, the zone got marked as hostile now, and you can see a brand new game mechanic. I mean, I said I wouldn't really do a what you missed. Well, actually, I cut that out of the intro because we ended up doing a what you missed after all. Just because you walk in front of someone doesn't mean they recognize you right away. Like the bartender and the guy talking to him, they didn't. Instead, there's like an alert meter where if it fills up, if you're in front of them for long enough, they realize that, hey, that's the guy we're supposed to be looking for. And the jig's up pretty much. Because realistically, it's pretty hard to keep up with everyone's faces, especially when you didn't go in like guns blazing. You just walked in and walked out. So the meter fills up when they see you, and it fills down when you're out of sight when they don't see you. Now this next jump is very important because it's a misdirection. I want you to pay close attention to what time it is when you interrogate Woods. When you interrogate Woods, it's 9:34 p.m., which I'm assuming interrogating him is the non-violent way of doing things. Not really non-violent, I guess pacifist run of doing things. And then you can just sneak out or talk your way out of the building. Then the next cut takes us back to 8:16 p.m. before we even talk to Tom to tell us to go to Woods, etc., etc. Because at this point, that was an optional thing that you could have done, talk to Tom, which then leads you to Woods, or you could have went just straight to Woods. So this is the violent shoot your way out rather than talk method. Now this is just this section, just some sick gameplay, which from what we see, we learned that you can gun bash and quick throw grenades. I believe he threw an EMP type of grenade. I'm actually worried how fast the other people threw a grenade. Like when he was throwing it, they right away already chucked another one at him. So that's a little bit worrying. It was really quickly. It was faster than you could do it. But maybe there's some skill that makes you quick throw grenades faster. So that confirms different types of nades, I suppose. Also, there appears to be a marker that shows up above people that you can loot. Now, I'm not actually sure about that because in this scene we did see it. So maybe you're looting them for information, I guess, related to the quest. But later on, when you take down the thugs, that marker isn't there. But I believe the X's are always there for people that you took down on the mini-map. Also, this doesn't take into account ammo, because as you see, when some of them go down, they drop a box. that box is actually ammo, and just walking over it should auto pick it up for you, because I'm assuming ammo has no weight in the game, because ammo management is always annoying unless you're like on a hardcore difficulty. So why wouldn't you just want to pick up all the ammo if there's no weight to it, there's no downside to it? And knowing that they'd say, and it'll just speed up the process, of just picking up the ammo. If you could auto pick it up, drops in a box, boom, done. You don't even have to loot. Now we jumped over another 3 hours over to 11 p.m. from 9 because they didn't want to show us how that quest ends. Maybe Evelyn's dead. Maybe we find her. We just don't know how it ends. Maybe that part with that insane, I don't know, samurai tiger claw mantis thermal blade guy, maybe that's the end of it, where that's the boss fight. But we have no idea. But we do fast forward to the next quest, space in between quest. But before we even start talking about that, it's confirmed that you don't actually have to talk with Silverhand in game. You can just ignore that guy as if he wasn't there, because we see his hologram going off on top of the little concrete street divider thing, and V just walks right past him. He's like, oh, nope, you're irrelevant to me, sorry, get your own life. Which makes me think that Silverhead might act as a kind of the guy that states the obvious right before you go into an area, just in case you missed the signs, such as with the tiger claws. We saw him earlier, he said, oh, this is obviously a tiger claw infested area, which if you had followed the signs, you'd know yourself. Tiger claws in the front door, which he mentioned himself, and literally the fixer calling you that, hey, maybe it's unwise to pursue this. So he's there to bridge the gap between seasoned players and just casuals that flow into the game. So I'd expect people will be ignoring Silverhand a lot more in future playthroughs. Obviously not in the first playthrough, because he might actually give something insightful or helpful to the way you're pursuing your quest. And again, I feel like he'd be more of a guns blazing, take down corporals guy, rather than smooth talk your way past everything. Also, the relationship, I don't know if I mentioned, but the relationship is pretty funny. I think I ignored it. I ignored the relationship thing because I wrote about it, but I forgot about it. Your relationship with Silverhand is pretty unique in the way that you pretty much both don't like each other. That's what's going on. It's like, yo, I don't want you in my head. You don't want to be here, but we're stuck in this, so let's do the best we can. Oh, also, food and hook space airs, I have to say it that way, or life is over pretty much, are marked on the map in front of you. There's actually a lot of them, surprisingly a lot, when you're just walking down the streets, which I'd assume like weapons and clothing shops might also be marked. Then again, those have their own signs on them, so maybe they wouldn't be marked. Now, I said we'd get back to how picking actually, I didn't. I cut that out also. I cut a lot of stuff out of that intro just to speed it up. But yeah, picking a guy or a girl makes a difference. Well, these thugs are pretty much just harassing V because she's a girl right now.
Well, what do we got here? And you just the cutest thing. If you're looking for a release, I just might be your man.
Kindly get the out of my way.
Yo, you hear what this bitch said to me? Best watch your tongue.
I'd say it again, but what for? Your little skull sponge can't possibly get its gray cells around it.
Well, that's the reason for the girl V, at least. Maybe if V was a guy, they'd be like, oh, we've got a tough guy over here. Wow, what a tough guy we've got here. So who knows? Oh, if you also have high enough melee skill, you could kind of intimidate / scare them off instead of doing the fight. Also, dialogue for saying F you is pretty good. Even the follow-up, because they respond to you, you're like, oh, you've got like 2 brain cells. Sounds like something I'd say, actually. I might take the more aggressive options, just because my corporal character is going to be like, yeah, you're absolute dirt. Get out of my way. Then they jumped over to a completely different quest. When you start talking to this guy, blah, 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 he goes on, blah, blah, blah. Then you kind of cut over to a completely different quest called Disaster Piece, which pretty much is about analyzing a brain dance and finding the location of where it was recorded. I mean, actually, it's kind of odd because what it looked like is kind of they fried the person. Actually, never mind. If they fried the person, that they'd feel like they're getting fried, but then the little brain dance recording should still be fine. So these are the cyberface people we saw in the Tools of Destruction trailer, by the way. I have no idea what they're doing, though. There are a lot of people that are going to play this on consoles. The straight up console facts, the takeaway from the consoles, not the gameplay footage. To be fair, in my defense, this was supposed to be right after the intro, but I put it at the end because I didn't want to bore people. So the Xbox One X and the Xbox One X and the Xbox Series X versions look identical. I think they might actually be the exact same thing across all versions of the consoles. But keep in mind that the next gen consoles will be getting an upgrade to graphics down the line, which is free. Also, if you buy it on like the last gen consoles, you get it on this gen consoles for free, pretty much the free upgrade. As long as it's like Xbox to Xbox. If you go like Xbox to PS4, then PS5, you're not getting the upgrade. But besides that, there just doesn't seem to be any massive downgrade. And again, this was recorded in 1080p, not 4K, which for people that don't know, YouTube is going to make the footage look a lot worse than 1080p. I mean, even if you record in 1080p but upload in 1440p, it still looks better because of how bitrate works. Just to make things, clear. So we don't actually know if like the textures and is it textures or is it models? I believe it would be models. We don't know if the models would be, perfectly sharp, and we don't know if the textures are, as clear. But yeah, I don't like off the footage. I don't see a massive downgrade. That's probably gonna be like the base version, like because this is an Xbox One Series X that we saw, but the Xbox One would probably get a massive downgrade compared to this, because it seems like you're really pushing to the limits of that. I mean, I'm a full PC gaming guy because I have to record footage and edit, The PC is just kind of easier for making content. Record, tab, open up Vegas, edit, video's done. But even with me having dumped like 5K on my PC, that's literally 10 times the price of a PS5. Yeah. I didn't say it was smart. I just said it looks better, at least, hopefully. I have to say, the console versions looked beautiful. It's funny, I dumped 5K and I don't have a 380 just because they're out of sale everywhere, so I literally couldn't get one. Barely got that 370. Like, barely. I swear, I got it, like, 5 seconds later, it was sold out. I literally got the last one, I think. But yeah, where was I? But yeah, even saying that, I have to say that the console versions look pretty beautiful. The character models are nice, but when driving around, you do get to see that lighting isn't exactly what we've seen from the PC versions. A lot of the dynamic lighting, ray tracing isn't exactly there, but that's probably due to obviously not having ray tracing enabled. But even then, the lighting's it's not there. Just isn't there. Like the models and textures look nice, but the lighting, don't know about that. Which is funny because usually I'm like the last person to argue about lighting or shadows, because like if I ever have like a performance issue, I just turn off shadows because they're literally so useless. But lighting's a little bit different in this game, just because when you're driving around, there's a lot of nice scenery that goes along with it. AKA, I like buildings more than I like open outdoors. That's kind of me. Like I'd look at like a city of buildings and be like, oh my god, this is beautiful. Then you show me like an outdoor forest, I'd be like, bro, wow, I'm looking at the same trees, I don't care. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, you already know what to do. Subscribe for more content like this, like every single day, hopefully, because they kind of pushed today's video I had planned back. Because out of nowhere, nobody knows. Oh, let's drop some gameplay for no reason. No, I'm not complaining. I'm actually pretty happy. But this really just came out of nowhere, really. I guess that they couldn't fit into the Night City Wire for some reason. That, or they saw the massive backlash about, having a Night City Wire just about music, which is obviously lame. I would have fired the person that came up with that idea, and decided to release some gameplay. Should have promoted that person that said release some gameplay, so you don't anger the community. I mean, honestly, it was like a delay. The news of a music night citywide, depression on top of depression, and I'm not the type of person to be like, oh my god, Johnny Silverhand, I am super hyped. Yeah, he's an important character in the game, okay, but I don't have, like, we don't spend time thinking about his fate, because he's technically dead. He's just inside your head. At least that's how I think of Silverhand. I mean, I don't have an issue with, like, Keanu playing him. It's like, it fits. The character model looks cool. Sounds cool. Yeah, alright, that's fine. Considering I'd never watched that. I don't know. There's like a series of John Wick. That's the popular movie that he's known for. Never watched it. It actually kind of sucks for me though, the delay. I would have had everything ready for the November 19th date actually. I've had my RTX 3070 for like a week now. I finally plugged it in today. I've been lazy. So I would have been ready to start making content. Hopefully there isn't another delay. You never know. Maybe they'll just casually release that dreaded yellow announcement. They've legit given everyone a fear of the color yellow at this point. Anyways, peace, ladies and gentlemen, and stay amazing. Doing that in one take, 21 minutes, was pretty tough. Normally, I do it in one take. I don't press stop record, but I drink water in the middle, I'd be like, hey, I made a mistake. There's some water. Hey, the mic might sound different, by the way. Because the thing with the Yeti is, if you unplug it, it kind of resets all your settings. And yeah, I unplugged it because I had to unplug everything to obviously not cause any damage to the graphics card. So yeah, there's that. Hopefully it does sound good. If not, I'll fix it in editing, even though I hate audio editing. It's like my bane of my existence.